And thanks for joining us on the show. We hope your weekend is coming on well. Welcome to Live from Abuja, and we're reaching you from Nigeria's capital city. I am Ademola Lawrence.
On the show today, we have exciting compilations that would make your day splendid. So sit back as we take you through this experience for the next hour. I am Habida Lawal.
Indeed, a splendid one for Nigerians and in Nigeria in Times Square, New York City. To be precise, Tunde Onokoya doing Nigeria well and putting Nigeria on the map. 58 hours of record-breaking chess playing there, and I think it's a good one and the best time to be in Nigeria.
Amazing stuff right there. I think he got cheers from some celebrities that were over there at New York. We wish Mr. Tunde Onokoya a very good game. Now let's begin the show in faraway Middle East, where residents and tourists in Dubai woke up to a surprising sight as the sun beamed down on the city following days of relentless rain and devastating flooding. The unexpected shift in weather comes after the United Arab Emirates was battered by more than a year and a half's worth of torrential rain. The desert city-state suffered horrendous floods, which swamped the airport and many of the surrounding roads, forcing dozens of flights to be cancelled as travelers crammed into the concourse to shelter from the torrential downpour.
Residents are now describing their harrowing stories of spending the night in their cars and air passengers enduring chaotic scenes at the airports. Up to 259.9 millimeters of rain fell on the usual raid country of the United Arab Emirates, which is the most since record began 75 years ago. The state-run one news agency called the rains as historic weather events that surpassed anything documented since the start of data collection in 1959. One Dubai resident in his 30s who did not want to give his name after his 15-minute commute turned into a 12-hour ordeal on flooded roads said it was one of the most horrific situations he has experienced so far.
Terrible stuff there.
Yeah.
Dubai used to be a one-stop destination for tourists from everywhere around the world, and I can imagine how they must be coping with it right now, even with the technological know-how and innovations that Dubai have been able to build over the years. We hope they're able to get out of this ugly situation.
Indeed, it's an ugly situation, and because you just spoke to my, there's been the change in weather for different countries, and of course Dubai is not out of it. We just hope that this will come and go, and we are of course in a very solemn one, saying that everything will be fine with the people of the United Arab Emirates and of course Dubai. Meanwhile, here in Nigeria, the farming season is just around the corner. For farmers, this period is crucial to their daily lives. But there's one thing that is of concern to farmers at the moment, and that is the rising negative effects of climate change.
However, all hope is not lost, as a timely weather forecast will be instrumental in enhancing the adaptive capacity of smallholder farmers and enabling them effectively manage farming seasons. There's more in this next piece.
Thank you all kindly, Secretary.
Here at the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is a meeting with the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, to find ways of improved sustenance. This partnership is not just about weathering the storms, it's about building resilience and abundance for every smallholder farmer tilling the Nigerian soil. With NIMET's predictions, efforts can be harmonized to minimize losses and secure food for generations to come.
Regrettably, there have been farming seasons in Nigeria when farmers did not take advantage of the institutional advice from NIMET and on their own misread the rainfall pattern, only to face dry spells that invariably ruin their crops and livelihoods. The added importance of the seasonal prediction is highlighted by the vagaries of climate change worldwide.
The meeting spotlighted joint efforts from both sectors, including the signing of a crucial Memorandum of Understanding on March 3, 2022.
In 2023, the Ministry and NIMET kickstarted the implementation of cascading climate information to states, namely Cross River, Ebonyi, Kano, Oyo, Rivers, and Yobe, as well as the Federal Capital Territory. Under the collaboration, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has handed over to NIMET the ministry's 10 automatic weather stations to expand NIMET's capacity in data and information gathering.
The NIMET DG has a big job, getting information to over 70 million Nigerian farmers. However, he says the agency will achieve this through a policy to disseminate in different languages.
We have over 70 million farmers, and the ability to do that with the meager resources we have, we can only do this with partnership, through partnership. That's the only way we've been able to reach our farmers.
So looking at this, we find that the rain stops earlier in these locations.
For the past month, NIMET has given many weather predictions to bring individuals up to date with changes. Now, farmers have the responsibility of adjusting their activities to these weather predictions and more to come to ensure food sustainability in Nigeria.
Now, away from weather-related matters to one event that has shaped the course of history in Nigeria, and that is the Chibok school abduction. Let's remind you that on the 9th or 14th of April 2014, about 276 girls were kidnapped by an Islamic terrorist group known as Boko Haram. The girls between the age of 16 and 18 were taken that night from the government secondary school, Chibok in Borno State. It is now over a decade since the dreams of these young schoolgirls were cut short. However, about 185 girls have returned, leaving about 90 of them in captivity.
Sadly, within the last 10 years, 48 parents of some of these missing Chibok girls have died. More than a decade after since the kidnapping, there's still growing advocacy and activism to apply pressure on relevant authorities to bring back the remaining girls.
April 14, 2014, a day that put Chibok, a rural community of Borno State, on the global map, but for the wrong reason. More than 250 girls were forcefully taken from their dormitory by the dreaded Boko Haram terrorists, an extremist group whose insurgency has killed thousands of civilians and also caused multidimensional devastation, which the World Bank estimate will cost $6.2 billion. 57 of the kidnapped schoolgirls reportedly escaped almost immediately after their capture. The dreaded terrorist group claimed responsibility for the abduction in a video released by Abubakar Shekau, who led Boko Haram before he was killed by the Nigerian army offensive.
Who are we? Who are we?
As the Chibok girls' abduction stole global attention, pressure started to pile on the federal government and Nigeria's military. During that period, hopes were raised, but later dashed as the girls remained in captivity.
Like millions of people across the globe, my husband and I are outraged and heartbroken over the kidnapping of more than 200 Nigerian girls from their school dormitory in the middle of the night. This unconscionable act was committed by a terrorist group determined to keep these girls from getting an education. Grown men attempting to snuff out the aspirations of young girls. And I want you to know that Barack has directed our government to do everything possible to support the Nigerian government's efforts to find these girls and bring them home.
High-part negotiations with the terrorists were deadlocked until October 13, 2016, when 21 of the girls were eventually released. This again rekindled hopes of a possible release of the remaining schoolgirls. But the clamor for their freedom has continued to gather steam.
The government wishes to inform the public that we will continue to identify and commiserate with the parents and relatives of the Chibok girls who are still in captivity, while we work assiduously on the rehabilitation of those who have been rescued. We also wish to use this occasion to take stock of the rescued girls and provide an update on how the girls are coming to terms with adjusting to normal life after captivity, and the efforts of the Borno State government to sustain the momentum on the rescue of the remaining girls who are still in captivity. The Borno State government is committed to rescuing and reuniting the remaining girls, and we are working very closely with the federal security agencies along this line. We understand the pain and anguish that the families of those still in captivity are going through. This is our sorrow as well. So far, out of the 276 abducted girls, 187 have been rescued and reunited with their families. Most of those rescued girls over the years have been enrolled in different schools and capacity building programs.
I want us to remember that when these girls left, they were girls. They were basically children. They have come out as mothers with 3, 2, or even 4 children. So their status has changed tremendously. Their commitment, their understanding is different from what they were before they left. And as a result of that, the Borno State government took over their rehabilitation, giving them mental health and psychosocial support. We had to stabilize them because when they came out, they were highly traumatized because of the trouble they went through in the bush. Having done this assessment and in consultation with them and their parents, it was collectively agreed that they cannot go back to the normal school, that is secondary school or women teachers college. And so fortunately for us, the Borno State government has what we call the second chance school. It's a complete, a holistic school that gives both vocational and other services, including computer literacy, numerical lessons, and what have you. And so presently, these girls are attending the second chance school.
Amina Ali is one of the lucky schoolgirls released by Boko Haram. She shares her experience.
I'm the one who first girl escaped from the captivities with a baby girl. She is 3 months and 3 weeks. So I escaped in year 2016. So I just did 2 years and months in the captivities. The only thing I can remember in 2014, we are all in school writing our first SSC examination before Boko Haram come and adopt us and moved with us to the Sambisa forest. So that's where they keep us there in the bush. Before 2014, we don't even think that they will come to Chibok at that time. So we are living happily. We don't think about such thing could happen in Chibok at that time until 14 April. And what we have been taught from our teachers used to tell us that anytime we heard about Boko Haram and we don't know in case maybe they will come to our place, but when we hear anything about Boko Haram or something like that happen in the town, we should not be worried. They will not come and do anything harmful to us. And then after I came out, I had some question in Borno State. Some people used to ask me that, when you were in Sambisa, have you ever seen a reply that used to provide the food for the Boko Haram? And I said that, well, if there is, me, I have never seen it. But maybe it can happen. That's what I used to tell them. I'm reminding the government that there is still missing Chibok girls that in captivities, and we are still need their effort to release our sisters back so that we all share this happiness we are having now, and for their parents too, because it's so boring when they see us and thinking about their daughters.
Bring back our girls.
The abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls is an event that will remain a reminder of the dark days of the Boko Haram insurgency in Borno State and the northeast region of Nigeria.
And let's go for a break now. When we come back, we'll come with more exciting features.
Our planet, our home, threatened by man's activities with fears of mass extinction on the rise. On Green Angle, we examine the issues that affect our environment, seek solutions to put us on track to secure and restore a cleaner and greener world for generations to come.
What does this say to you as to the seriousness of these threats?
Because I have not done anything to contravene the provision of the law in this country, you cannot say you are better than me.
The law is clear as to what happens when you conclude your 35th year in service.
My name is Yori Kolari. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye for now.
Life is politics. In Nigeria, almost every part of our lives is touched by the politics we play. Governance, legislative matters, the economy, security, foreign affairs, internal affairs. Have a feel as strategic plays in the political space determine how we live in Nigeria. The players, the drama, chess piece moves. Be kept informed. Watch analysis of major happenings in the political space and how it affects you. Watch Politics on Sunday.
Welcome back. Let us take out some time to touch base with some news-making headlines. The ordeals of former Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello after he was declared wanted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission continue as the Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbetoku has also ordered the immediate withdrawal of all police officers attached to him. An internal security document issued by the Nigerian Immigration Service has also placed Mr. Bello under scrutiny. All this has further intensified the legal pressure surrounding the former governor.
And 29 suspected members of the Yoruba nation have been arraigned before the Ibadan Chief Magistrate Court for their involvement and roles in the aborted invasion of the Oyo State Government Secretariat on Saturday, April 13th.
And the Federal High Court in Lagos State has granted businessman and socialite Pascal Okechukwu, popularly known as Cubana Chief Priest, a 10 million naira bail with 2 surety likes in sum. The celebrity had pleaded not guilty to tampering and abusing the naira during his trial.
And the Nigerian Integrated Hydrological Service Agency issues a warning revealing that 148 local government areas spanning 31 states and the Federal Capital Territory are positioned within the high risk of flood zones.
One needs to be quite careful there.
Exactly.
And the federal government has planned the immediate production of 31 metric tons of grain. This comes as part of a series of critical pathways to solving the food security challenges in the country and achieve food sufficiency and global food security.
Interesting one. And in business, the International Monetary Fund has reviewed upwards Nigeria's economic growth forecast for 2024 from 3% to 3.3%.
And the electronic payment transactions in Nigeria rose to 234.4 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2024 as more Nigerians went cashless over the period.
Interesting. And outside Nigeria, a tragic landslide in the Democratic Republic of Congo has claimed the lives of at least 12 people, including 9 women, 3 men and a child. It has also left over 50 people missing.
And Sudan marks 1 year of conflict as the toll on civilians is staggering. Over 8 million people have been forced to flee their homes, and nearly half of the population are in need of humanitarian assistance.
I hope they will be able to get that. Interesting. Seriously. I really hope
there have been a lot of crises and around African countries, and we don't know how much these will have effect over the years. The effect is not just immediate, but over the years, and it's also devastating as to how these have a direct effect rather, on the people of these countries. When it comes to war and humanitarian crisis, it is first of all the women and children that are always the first casualties. And these are deemed to be vulnerable people and persons. And it is just quite unfortunate that when this happens, it just hits directly without warning.
I think to a large extent, all of these issues, of course, the leadership of the African, of the different African nations need to put into considerations how all of these, series of terrorism, series of wars happens around, and they're able to, nip it on the bud. It is very, very crucial that this happens. And let's turn our attention to housing matters now. You are aware that in most developed economies, the housing sector is seen as an important sector for stimulating economic growth. In Nigeria, however, access to affordable housing has largely remained unfulfilled during the vast majority, most especially in the middle and the lower class of the society.
The issue of housing deficit has grown from bad to worse, and successive governments from the time of Nigeria's independence 59 years ago have been grappling with this problem. But it appears that successive governments have not only succeeded in scratching the surface, of this challenge, especially as the country's population grows exponentially, making government's efforts in this regard look ineffective. To address this matter of urgency, let's bring you an excerpt from a chat I had earlier with the Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Shehu Osidi, where he laid to rest some of the fears expressed by some Nigerians. Take a listen.
Well, thank you very much. I'm settling down pretty fast. The reason being that I have been in this system, so it's not new to me. So far so good. I've had my career in banking largely. I spent 20 years in the commercial bank before I joined the Federal Mortgage Bank in 2010. So I've been here like 10 years until I retired last year. Following my appointment as Chief of Staff to the Honorable Minister, so I retired as a General Manager. And so now I'm back as the Chief Executive. So settling down has been pretty easy. Well, I would say I'm very, very confident. It is generally said that a problem well defined is a problem half solved. So coming from within, I already know what the issues are, what the challenges are, and that is why I was able, by the grace of God, to hit the ground running. Well, I would say yes and no. Yes, because quite a number of Nigerians have benefited from the products offered by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. You know, we are the only institution in this country that offers mortgages at single digit, specifically at 6%. You can't get that anywhere else. And so a lot of Nigerians have benefited from our system, from the bank. For those who have not benefited from the bank, due to one challenge or the other, some Nigerians, I do not know so much about the activities of the Federal Mortgage Bank, understandably, because we probably may not have done so much of sensitization to create awareness among Nigerians about the opportunities that are available in the bank. And we must also admit that there are a couple of Nigerians that have also made attempts to access our facilities, and they were not able to get such facilities due to some reason or the other. So that's why I said the answer is yes and no. Yeah, coming from within, like I said, I understand the issues. And one of the things that we first decided to address is the issue of automation. Over the years, the operations of the bank have been largely manual. And so our processes take so long. People apply for loans. They take forever for those loans to be approved. And so we are now in the process of deploying a core banking application technology, which is about 95% concluded already. Once that is done, our operations will be online real-time. And which means that we are taking seriously the issue of turnaround time. So we are able to respond more quickly and more efficiently to the demands of our customers. Yeah, like I said, that is one area that we have known, that we have not done a lot of sensitization to create awareness among Nigerians. You know, housing is a capital-intensive activity. And so if you do not have the opportunity of mortgages, not many Nigerians will be able to access houses. So we are rolling out a number of platforms to create awareness. For instance, in the next couple of weeks, we will resume what we used to have, which we call Everybody Deserves a Home, which is a weekly TV program on both NTA and TVC. We will resume these activities that will create a lot of sensitization on the products that are offered by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, how you can access these products, the processes that you need to go through, the requirements that you need to fulfill, and so on and so forth. We're also engaging several stakeholders, including the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, and the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, which is also a body that represents employers in the private sector. Then we are also accessing the informal sector, reaching out to the informal sector through the instrumentality of cooperative societies. So we have cluster groups, and we sensitize these cluster groups, and we have actually created a product for this segment of the market, where what we call the cooperative housing development loan, where individuals form cooperatives, and then they are able to design the kind of houses they want by themselves. They cost those houses according to their income levels, and then they approach the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to take a loan to build houses for their members. And the interesting thing is that when these houses are constructed, we again create mortgage loans for the individual members of the cooperatives to buy these houses and then pay over time. So we are rolling out massively in terms of our enlightenment programs, both in the electronic and the print media, and especially using social media handles to reach out to our clients. You need affordability in the face of rising costs. And like you know, affordability is a function of two variables, cost and income. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, income levels are very low, and then prices are escalating. So what do we do? I think the first step is what the government has tried to do by appealing to producers of building materials. You recall that I think about 2 weeks or so ago, the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development had a session and engagement with producers of cement in the country, appealing to them to look at ways by which we can.
And joining us back on the Chibok school abduction story is a mental health advocate, Angela Umoru. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, do you think the reintegration of some of these girls back to their families, do you think it has also given them some sort of closure, or there should be more that should be done in terms of, should I say, mental, what do you call it?
Services.
Yes, for these children that were returned back to their parents.
Absolutely. I think that now that we're looking 10 years 10 years after the incident, I think this is a good time to also look back, reflect, and to also draw some learnings from the entire incident. That was the very first time that we're having a mass abduction of that nature. We didn't think something like that could happen. Now, there were so many things that without even all of us in the mental health space believe that we're not done properly. There were no psychosocial, at least that we know of, no psychosocial services were deployed to the children who were released or those who managed to escape. Now, looking at, for example, the BBC interview that was done of one of the former abducted girls, Amina, her name was Amina, interviewed. One of the things I remember that she was saying in that interview was how there hasn't been good reintegration. Like, people look at a child and then there's that discrimination, there's lack of inclusion.
Stigmatization.
Exactly, that stigmatization. So that's definitely a huge gap. And thinking about this, and even in the light of, let's say, the mental health bill or act now, it's no longer a bill that was signed in January 2023, you would expect that, okay, we didn't do this 10 years ago, but the next best time to do something right and to get it right is today. We didn't do it last year. The next best time is today. So there are definitely, there's a need for counseling for all of these abducted, the girls that have returned, even for the community, even for the family as a whole. I thought it's so easy to assume that, only the girls went through something, but then you also have the community members as a whole. There's that general trauma. So there should be even some level of community level intervention as well that should have been done. So there's a huge gap there, definitely a huge gap.
So I wanted to, when you spoke about the fact that, there should be some things that should be done to the community at the community level, and of course the parents.
Yes.
Let's even talk about the parents, for example. The children are not the only ones who suffer the mental health.
Yeah.
And mental health, to a large extent, is something that if you're not mentally stable, your emotions cannot be stable.
Yes.
So how do you think what ways do you think this can be done, if the children are being taken care of in terms of mental health? What about the parents of the children? How do we address that issue?
Also, I think, is it not too late?
Too late.
10 years.
That's a very valid question, actually. And it's so easy to, again, assume, 10 years have passed. Nigerians are resilient. Come on, you can get off it and come out of it and all of that. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of these effects are enduring. Trauma responses could take many, many years before they even show up. And in speaking about the parents, as you have mentioned, there was a need that before they were even reunited, at that point, there should have been some level of preparation. Now, you've not seen your child for X number of days, X number of weeks, X number of years. This is what you could possibly expect. There was a need for that preparation. Now that it hasn't even been done, there's also the fact that a lot of them, some of these girls are coming back with children. How do you look at that child and accept that child as your grandchild? There was also a need for that, because some of the conditions that we need to, I'm not a psychologist, I'm an advocate, but even as an advocate, I can say that some of the conditions that we should have watched out for as a society are things like mood disorders, like bipolar disorders that could have arisen, depression, anxiety disorders, PTSD, major one, right? Exactly. So these are things that we should have been aware of. Again, I am bringing it back to the law that was enacted early last year. If it's one thing to sign things into law, it's another thing to follow through. That's very important, right? So if we said that within the Ministry of Health, there should have been as the law stipulates now, there's supposed to be a mental health services department that should have been created. Now, question is, where are we on that? Now this is an opportunity where they could have come in and said, okay, we have noticed that this is a gap that we ought to fill. So again, it's one thing to sign something into a law, it's another thing to see it through, and this is the perfect opportunity for that law to have had its light, its day in the light, so to speak.
Do you think, you mentioned quite a lot of things, and it keeps me wondering if we as Nigerians actually take mental health seriously. I mean, for the Chibok girls that returned, there were some that saw people die in captivity.
True.
There were some that saw even their children that they gave birth to died in captivity, molestation, and the like. Some even had Stockholm syndrome. They became sympathetic to their captors. How do we as Nigerians, or as a mental health advocate, how do you think we can provide more awareness on mental health generally?
Thank you. And to even add to that, there's also the aspect of, another aspect where I don't think we often realize, which is, even as the mother, to give birth to a child that is born or conceived within the circumstances of that issue, that's another form of trauma that we're not even considering. Now, on whether or not there's a lot we're doing enough as a country, the reason I smiled is because I was just thinking to myself is that we have a long way to go. Yes, we are grateful to the fact that we have come this far as a country, that at least there are more people talking about it. It's no longer a taboo topic in that essence. I mean, we're here on national television talking about mental health. So that's a good step, right? But there definitely has to be, there's a lot more to be done. For example, we still know that the ratio of psychologists that we have in this country to the entire population of the country is way too low. We definitely need to have more specialists in this regard. And one way I think that we could even do better in that regard is to also create specialized pathways. So, for example, well, a few months ago, the government talked about giving student loans. Another thing that we could also think about is, what are the areas, what are the courses of study that actually need more people to go into? So, for example, psychology is one of those areas. What if the government then decided that, okay, as we're giving out student loans, we could also concentrate on this area? That way, there will be more people that could go into the field. So that's one practical thing that we could do.
I think to a large extent, is one of the things that, mental health is so very paramount. Aside from the fact that the Chibok girls issues, a lot of Nigerians actually, some persons suffer from emotional trauma. And I think that if that is not being dealt with, a whole lot of things will go wrong in the society. How do you think that we need to start looking at, how do you think we need to start looking at that, most especially, just in 30 seconds, emotional trauma that has to do with mental health, in 30 seconds?
Okay, let me try and put all of that together. So I think, first and foremost, the role of the media is already helping. Then another thing I believe that we could do differently is also support organizations that are already working in that space. So again, partnerships and collaborations with the media is paramount. So because you're giving me 30 seconds, I'm going to stop here.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you. I really
mental
appreciate it.
health advocate Angela Umoru David. Thank you very much. And that's it on Chibok Schoolgirls. Now we have joining us a former commissioner in Delta State between 2003 and 2007. He's a media columnist and democracy advocate, as well as an author of the book Leading from the Streets, Media Interventions by a Public Intellectual, 1999 to 2019. The book is a compilation of compelling articles written and published in the mass media by the author between 1999 to 2019, spanning the entire range of Nigeria's socio-economic and political life. Welcome to the studio, Mr. Magnus, in a bit.
Of course, so we'll be talking to Mr. Magnus in a bit, and it's a discussion that we'd like to have. He's talking about media, and of course, one of the things that also need to happen is the fact that how do we need to have the conversation about Nigeria's social, economic, and political life. It's very, very important, most especially at this time when Nigeria is still trying to test the waters in terms of economic policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. and some of the things that, of course, we have in our political life. What do you think?
Well, I think quite a lot should I say, has been written sometimes about and some of these socio-economic matters, but most importantly, what we still lack in Nigeria as a country is implementation of many of these things, of these lofty ideas. You know, you have lots of we have abundance human resource people that we can tap into and make use of. But then here we find ourselves. And joining us is Mr. Magnus to tell us more about this book, Leading from the Street, and media intervention. So what prompted you to write this book, especially on that topic?
Yes, thank you for having me. As you are aware, you know, our country is going through a lot of reforms right now, necessary reforms, although it's coming with pains, but it's something that had to be done. And it would appear that our people are also so despondent, and they are at sea about how to deal with the issues that are cropping up. And they are solely relying on government to provide solutions. And that's where leading from the streets comes in. We're saying that, yes, government will lead, it has the responsibility, but all of us as individuals, collectively or as individuals, we are leaders in our own rights. That anywhere you exert influence over one or two or three people, you are a leader. And so you should look at the whole environment and see how you can find your own solution in your little space to be able to overcome the hardship that we're going through right now. And that when people take charge in their small spaces all over, as mechanics, as bricklayers, as drivers, artisans generally, or professionals as accountants, nurses, and doctors, whatever we're doing in our small spaces, when you aggregate everything, it will bring about the change that we need. And this is not the first time this is happening. If you remember, J.F. Kennedy is the 35th president of the United States of America. When the country was going through recession and there were a lot of challenges, he was the one who came about, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So in that same spirit, we're saying that Nigerians should wake up and try to, on top of what government is trying to do, we can see the fruits of the reforms right now. When some of us were talking about the reforms, we're saying that it's in the right direction. You know, people were saying there are too many hardships. We want to remain in our comfort zone. If you don't do something drastic and radical, you continue to just move the cheese bit by bit. But you can see the changes that have been made now. You know, it's clear that, you know, things would happen. And if we consolidate this in another 1 year, there'll be a big difference from where we were to where we're going to be.
You know, talking about comfort zone, Nigerians really don't like to hear that word. Why? Because they believe that every leader who wants to come to power has his teeth and dots cut out for himself. You know, it's not something that we are used to. You know, but in this scenario, you were saying that, you know, all of us should put our heads together in your own sphere of life. You should be able to. But how important? And now I'm going to come to how important do you think that NOA is very crucial to this particular point you just made, you know, in trying to make sure that, you know, everybody's aware that only governments cannot do it, looking at the book that you just read?
Yes, that's actually where the challenge is. Government is not doing enough in that direction. They've not enlightened the people enough about their rights. The impression that we have generally is that everything is about government, especially in this country. You know, if the budget hasn't come out, the country comes to a standstill. To say, oh, we're waiting for budget. This one will not give contract. This one will not do this. This one will not do that. You know, but we're saying that, look, individually, we can collectively do stuff that will make a difference. And part of what we're doing in this public presentation of this book, we're recognizing some of these people that have made a difference. You know, we're giving reward and award to 6 people, for instance. Professor Wole Soyinka is going to be the keynote speaker, for instance. If you recall, 1966, 67, he prevailed on the federal government not to go to war against Biafra because he thought there was going to be dire consequences. The federal government at that time did not like that, and they thought he was colluding with the Biafran government. They jailed him for 22 months. So when the guns were firing, he was in jail. 1970, by the time the war was over, we had lost over 1 million people. So he was right. But he is a leader from the street, and he has continued to lead from the street. Take somebody else, the Air Peace man. He had been there for us in bad times. Sudan, South Africa, Ukraine, he went to rescue Nigerians. And he has seen that, foreign airlines, British Airways, for instance, is plying the most lucrative route and taking all the money. And he wants to come to the rescue of Nigerians. And he has crashed the price. And they're doing price war with him. That's somebody leading from the streets. That he's not from the corridors of power. So that's what I'm saying, that we should not all wait for the president, the Senate president, or minister to lead. We will lead. Those people will smoothen the environment for us to lead better.
Thank you very much, Mr. Magnus. I wish we had more time to talk about this. But, of course, I'm going to be at this book launch.
You just have to. A lot of people are coming. The vice president is the special guest of honor. The Senate president is coming with a bunch of senators. And there'll be a breakdown of how we are benefiting from President Tinubu's reforms. Somebody like Bismarck Rewani is going to talk about how it's affecting your price of tomato and pepper in the market.
All right, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, that will be a very good one on how this book is going to benefit Nigerians. Okay, now let's take a beat of sport news. The Federal Capital Territory welcomed runners and spectators from around the world for yet another half marathon, partnering the Athletics Federation of Nigeria and with support of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The organizers put in place adequate measures to ensure a hitch-free race, mapping out the alternative route for traffic. The race commenced by 7 a.m., of course, today at the city of Abuja, at the city gates, and will terminate at the old parade grounds amidst grand celebration. Organizers of this Abuja Marathon are intent on improving the experience by runners by implementing feedback from previous races, providing fluids and refreshments. Open prize money for the overall winner, male and female, is $5,000. Wow. And 1 million naira for the first indigenous male and female to arrive at the finish line. After an hour and 8 minutes into the race, a Nigerian Francis James raced through the finish line, clinging the second place, with Gian Emmanuel, also a Nigerian, coming fourth after an hour 10 minutes. The first female, Patience Delop, crossed the finish line in 1 hour 25 minutes. I think the race is done already.
It's the first time I think we have a Nigerian clinching the fourth position, I guess, and it's worthy of appreciation. It's usually the Kenyans and the likes that are always coming here to pack all our prizes.
Interesting.
Now let's talk entertainment now. Biopic on feminist hero Funmilayo Ransome Kuti will hit cinemas on 17th of May. The movie by Bolanle Austin Peters stars Joke Silva, Kehinde Bankole, and Aduni Ade. Funmilayo Ransome Kuti, a biopic by Bolanle Austin Peters, has been scheduled for nationwide cinema release following a well-received limited screening in 2023. Now, off the back of this, Nigeria's movie industry seems to have evolved overnight, being the second largest film industry after Bollywood. The sector can count for at least 2,500 films produced each year, with an obvious improvement in the general craft of filmmaking. More genres have come out of the movie scene in Nigeria in recent time at industry standard picture and sound quality, with locations in Lagos, Onitsha, Enugu, Asaba, and Abuja. According to PwC Global Entertainment and Media Outlook for 2022 to 2026, Nigeria's media and entertainment industry is one of the fastest growing creative industries in the world. It has the potential to become one of the country's exports, with projected annual consumer growth rate of 8.8%. The motion picture and music combined contributed about $1.8 billion, 730 billion naira to the country's GDP in 2020. That's a lot.
A lot.
And now we are joined live by a veteran in the industry, Mr. Said Balogun, who is, of course, an actor, director, and also a producer. He is a prominent personality in Nollywood movies, most especially the Yoruba film industry. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Said.
Good morning, and how's everything?
Thank you very much, Mr. Said.
Now, you are no doubt a household name. Tell us how it has been your journey so far, from the beginning till now.
We thank Capital God. It has not been smooth, though, and we try to make ends meet by bringing out your vision. We're trying to tell people, we remind them of their past, shape their present, and make them see into the future. So, and that's what we do. And as for me, and I've been trying to make ends meet, like they do say, movie has no language. And I try to do all I can to make it, but it has not been easy. When you're a star and people tend to see you, the first thing that comes to their mind is M-O-N-E-Y.
Money.
Are you not making the money as much as they thought? So it has not been smooth. So we're trying to make it happen for more than 48 years into the business.
Wow, interesting. But, you know, while she was reading the statistics, some people might not really agree with you that, if you guys are making, if you're making money for the country, in so...
Should translate
into something meaningful. So, of course, there's also been recent reactions that have come straight that some actors and crew members, you know, are not really as paid as they ought to be. Is Nollywood really that complicated, yeah, in terms of payments, you know? And I also wanted to talk about how Nollywood is also making efforts to generate money for the country.
Very good. You see, I call a lot of problems we try to solve living by the book. Some guys come with big computers, talk. No. Check Nigerians. How many cultures do we have? More than 200 and something languages. It's different from India that has only like 2 languages. Europe, the Americans speak only 1. So you get it?
Yeah.
But it's not as easy as that. But the government itself needs to give us structure. I mean, living by the book, I'll come with laptop, No. I've been into the field. I speak outside. I was born in the East. I can easily tell you what you are bringing on laptop to this man cannot work. Entertainment industry is like oil block more than if we do it well in this country. If I bring a professor who has been, all he got is by the book on the field. So we can make it better if we know each other very well and say, okay, we can make much more money. The actors, how do you know their numbers if you say they should pay tax? We have performance, we have music, we have physical performers like who do music, like Pasuma, Wasiu, Sonia Ade, Little, all of that. We have the hip hop boys who roll on the CDs. And we have when you go to parties, you see some people just welcoming you, praising you, singing. Yeah. How do these people pay tax to contribute? We need a structure, total structure, not living by the book. I can tell you today, they produce film in one state. Let me use Kogi as an example. Igala does Bibo. They produce more than 100 films per month. Where is the tax coming from? Do you know me? If you come to me, if I know you very well, I'll say before I go to this person, you're just looking at that CD, you're just looking at that movie, he's not making anything, so don't even dare it if you're going to ask for something, because I've been there. But if I live by the book, read the book, who do I know? Am I going to? And if I come to you, we're going to fight, because I'm going to demand 10 million when you are making 300,000. And it's going to look somehow, and it's going to give the government bad name. So we need a structure. The word is, who are you? I always ask, the American movies goes by impossible, they make things impossible possible. Indian goes by the vein of love. Chinese goes by the practice made perfect. Who are you?
Now, you delved into politics recently, especially with the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and what prompted this shift?
Thank you very much. We like criticizing a lot, we like talking a lot behind the scene. I said, okay, go there, make some changes. I noticed we have 3 people, and I've read all of them like a modern day book. One has to emerge. So I followed Bola Ahmed Tinubu because I know he's intelligent, he's an enigma, he knows what to do and knows how to turn things around, and he has led before. So campaigning is not easy. So I came out, I believe he's going to win. I put up my statistics and I said, Chai, this man will definitely win. I have something to say about him. Others, I have nothing to say about them.
Lastly, I'll just put you to it. What should we be expecting from the legendary Said Balogun?
Something good, something nice, something to make you smile to success. Like, I'm on one movie
now. In the next few years?
Yeah. No, I want to do one now, traditional film, Ijakadi.
Oh, okay.
And I've done some like online, finding a reti still on YouTube. I mean, we're trying to make things happen. And that's it. And in politics, I see what I can do. If they call me to come and contribute, I will. If they don't, they are intelligent in this government, I will still wait for my time. I may be a fantastic orator, but have a good sense of governance. So I wait for the right time to do the right thing.
Amazing discussion, Mr. Said. We can go on and on. Very interesting.
Really
Thank you. And we've been speaking with Mr. Said Balogun, a Yoruba actor. We'll go on a short break and we'll be right back.
And of course, it's been an interesting show today from the mental health person who spoke about what is happening to the Chibok girls. And of course, it's going to be interesting.
I think it's been a notable week. Chibok celebrate 10 years, and we have Mr. Tunde Onokoya doing the country proud in faraway United States of America. So it's been quite a fantastic week for the country, so to say.
And I think the EFCC governor, former governor Yaya Bello, that drama is still unfolding. Okay, but of course it will be very interesting to see that at the end of the day, the ADCs of the former governor has been, taken into custody.
Do you think he will turn himself in?
That's in days to come. Of course, that will be the topic of discussion. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. And of course, we'll come next week while we give you stories happening in the world of sports, entertainment, lifestyle, and politics. My name is Ademola Lawrence.
And I am Habida Lawal. See you next week.